We're focusing on your driver, and the answers you've given us indicate you have what we would call a push, so a shot that starts to the right of target and then flies reasonably straight. You've also told us that your preference would be to play with a fade, so a shot that starts to the left and then curves back towards the target through the air. The push is primarily caused by an in to out swing path, which is the club head moving to the right of target through impact. The club face will be square, which means it's aiming in the same direction as the club head is travelling, and when you have that, you have a straight ball flight. For a fade, we need an out to in swing path, so a club head that's travelling slightly left of target through impact, and we also need an open club face. So when the club face is pointing to the right of the direction of the swing, you get the ball to curve to the right through the air. To get the swing path that we need, we're going to look at two things: how the club is arriving at impact, and then how it's leaving impact. So I have a stick here on the ground to use as a reference line. It's parallel to the target line, and it's set up just outside of my toes. The first thing to notice would be, the more we get the club shaft angled inwards in relation to this line, the more likely and the more severely we are going to have an in to out swing. On the other hand, the more you get the club shaft angled outwards in relation to that line, the more likely and the more severely you will have an out to in swing. Now, we don't want an excessively out to in swing, as this may cause slices instead of the fade that we want. What we'd really like is a relatively neutral downswing that allows us to approach impact from very, very slightly inside the line. Now, how we turn this into a fade is by making sure this club head moves around us on an arc so that it straightens up and then starts to move back in as it moves through impact. And this is our second focus, which is the club head after impact has to be moving to the left or back to the inside as opposed to the right or to the outside. So we have again two things. We have a relatively neutral downswing that allows a relatively neutral approach, but then make sure this club head is moving left of target immediately after impact. So this inside follow through is absolutely crucial. Now, the second thing would be the club face. We have a square face and we need it to be slightly open. Now, with every golf swing, the club face opens on the way back. And what you're doing is squaring it up for impact. And all we need to do is delay this slightly so that it's still slightly open when the club arrives at the ball. And if we're really clever, we can use the same feeling that is going to get the club head to move left after impact to delay the closing of the face. And that means we have one less swing thought to worry about. So one of the ways that we can get this club head to move inwards after impact is to make sure the body is rotating towards the target reasonably well. Now, if we look at this from face on, and I slow down the rotation of the body, it's very easy for the hands to release the club early, which can cause the face to square up or even close too early. On the other hand, if I was focusing on rotating the body a little bit more aggressively, the hands have a harder time releasing the club early, and this can bring the face in slightly open. So if we want to try and put all this together, very simply, we have a checkpoint on the way down, which is a reasonably neutral delivery. And then from here, we want the feeling of rotating the hips towards the target, which brings the club face into impact slightly open, and also causes the club head to move to the left after impact. So once we have a comfortable downswing, it's the turning of the body towards the target and allowing the feeling of the club to lag behind that will produce the fade. So you can practice this in stages. Pause and then swing through. So we've got neutral downswing, turn through impact. As you're turning through impact, you're feeling the club moving left of target. Once you're comfortable with these feelings, remove the pause and swing back and through without stopping. Once you're comfortable with that, the next thing to do is hit a golf ball. The golf ball will tell you whether you've done it correctly or not. So again, reasonably neutral, and then a good strong body turn through impact that leaves the face open and pulls the club head into the left after impact. And these two feelings will give you a nice little fade.